This is my quirky book collection. I just want to put a disclaimer that I am not a reader. Like, if you had to describe me with 10 adjectives, none of them would have to do with like reading. I barely read or still kind of don't read. In school I didn't read our prescribed books. I don't even read instructions. Like, I'll read it, take out the food, then throw the instruction box in the bin, and then realize I still need the instructions, so I have to go and retrieve it from the bin. And also in terms of my taste in books, I love a good cheesy, unrealistic book. I would not let that shit slide in a movie or a show. I would instantly switch it off. I would talk shit about it if that happened in a show. I thoroughly enjoyed The Life Hypothesis. Like, I ate that shit up, truly. Anyways, first is Lord of the Rings. I got this as a Christmas gift. I'm pretty sure this is the second book. I didn't read the first book. Oh, I think I did in grade 9 for like a prescribed book, but like I showed no interest in it, and they were like, I don't know, I just don't understand the mindset that came with deciding to get me that book. This was like over 10 years ago, and it still like gets me heated because it's like, why? I'll also be rating my books something out of 5 crystals. They all mean something, each crystal, but I'm not gonna tell you. You're just gonna have to like believe me. Like, I definitely do have like a meaning for each crystal. Like, I'm not just bullshitting it and saying a random number for each one. Like, my next book is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I got this as a gift from my dad. My dad is very spiritual, so you will see that throughout my books. I think he got it for my 16th birthday. I didn't read it then. I think I only read it after my 21st. I'm glad that I did wait and I read it when I wanted to read it. And I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I am very much a spiritual girl, and I would totally like recommend it because it's not like heavy and intense. It's just, I think everyone could read it and like take away something interesting from it. So I would give it 4 out of 5 crystals. Next is How to Be a Boss. I was a huge Lily Singh stan. Like, I loved Superwoman from like 2013 until like she had her terrible show. I was rooting for her. I think I was in love with her, but I didn't know it. Like, I supported everything she did. I literally got Twitter just so that I could see her tweets because I had her on post notifications on Instagram. I would wake up in the morning and check, like during 12 collabs at Christmas. Like, my Twitter account right now only exists because I wanted to see the cringy terrible things Lily Singh would tweet. Like, I memorized, what is it, One Love, did she do it like this? She did it like this. One Love, Superwoman. That is a rap. No, there's something else. One Love, oh, Superwoman. Okay, One Love, I could do this. Superwoman. That is a rap and zoop. But now I heavily dislike her. She was problematic, and I ignored a lot of the problematic listeners. Like, she definitely insulted our culture for the loss of white people. But that's a whole different story. I literally bought that book with all of the money I got for my 21st birthday because I don't think the book was available in South Africa. I had to pay to get it from Amazon. I did take away a lot of stuff from the book. I haven't thought about it since, but there is 2 pieces of information that I will carry with myself. Even if you didn't like her, you definitely like learned something from her. But like, I'm sure there are other girlies who have said the same thing. Give it 3 out of 5 crystals. Next is Pride and Prejudice. I bought this book because I started a book club with my bestie. Hey Salem, I hope you're watching this. This would be embarrassing. It was not a good start. I didn't really love it. I think it is essential. I think if you ever do start reading as a hobby, you should definitely read Jane Austen. I watched the movie before I read it, so that definitely helped. The thing is, of course, she didn't intend to write it for me to read at like years later, but I was expecting more. I was expecting Bridgerton. I was fighting for my life trying to find some like romance. There were some cute moments. It wasn't terrible. I don't regret reading it, but I took very long to read it. 2 out of 5 crystals. Next is Border Crime. I bought this on a whim. I am still, I guess, a huge Trevor Noah fan. When he was in South Africa and he had like his stand-ups, I would, you know, watch all the DVDs. When he went to America and to The Daily Show, I watched every episode up until 2020 of his show. I do not give a fuck about the stuff he was talking about. I don't give a fuck about American politics. He would interview people I do not give a fuck about. I watched it. I ate up his between the scenes. I bought the book, I think in 2018 or something. I thoroughly enjoyed the book. If you enjoy like how he speaks, I don't know if that makes sense, but like the way that he tells stories, you will enjoy the book. It was very easy to read. You kind of forget that you're reading when you're reading the book. He spread it out very nicely. It is funny, it is interesting. I genuinely do enjoy autobiographies. Like, I read autobiographies of celebrities I don't even care about just because I just like seeing like how they came from this and their childhood. Like, I just love knowing things about people and like, why are you the way that you are? Like, I laughed, I cried, I sobbed. It was just, I think it's probably my favorite book I've ever read, and I would give it 5 out of 5 crystals. Then I got Becoming by Michelle Obama. I got this as a gift for my 21st. I really wanted that book, so I'm really glad I got it as a gift. I started reading it, I think, during my 21st, but then I stopped because I was like, this book isn't gonna help me like right now. It's not something I want to read right now. I think I'm only gonna enjoy and take away from that book when I'm 28 or like 30 or something. Like now, it doesn't like do anything for me right now. Next, I got Dark Places. Dark Place? Dark Places? Dark Place. I thoroughly enjoyed Gone Girl, the movie. It's my favorite rom-com. And then when Sharp Objects came out, I did enjoy the show. So I was like, okay, is Gillian Flynn, I think, is that her name? Does she have any other work? Then I found Dark Places. Like I said, I didn't read her books before this, so I don't know if the others were as dark as Dark Places, but it's definitely the darkest of her 3 pieces of work. It was, I don't know, it's very gross. It's not usually my type of thing. Like, I don't know, it is just gross. Like, I still enjoyed it. It was once again an easy read. There was a mystery, what is it? Format? Theme? I don't know. That wasn't like the only reason I read it. I wasn't like, I'm just gonna get through this so I can find out like who did it or something. The story was very interesting. It's more similar to Sharp Objects than Gone Girl. So I would give it 4 out of 5 crystals. Then I got This Color Sky. This book is a used book I bought at a stall in front of the library. I literally only bought the book, I think it was 10 rand, because it fit my room aesthetic, and I literally bought it as decor. I tried reading it once, I think, when there was like load shedding and had nothing else to do, but nothing interesting about it. I use it in Instagram photos or like TikToks for like a book because it's very aesthetic, but yeah. That's a very important book that I should have definitely put in this video. Then I got The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This my aunt gave my brother. She does not spend a lot of time with my brother, so she clearly did not know that he does not read at all. He kept it in his room and I decided to take it when I was like, let me start reading. I kept it in my bookshelf to see, maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't. I definitely think it is an iconic book that should be read. I never watched the movie. Not anytime soon, I'm not excited to read it, but I definitely would like to read it one day in the future. Then Socialism Passed, and then this socialism book. I was very heavily leftist last year, the year before. Now I'm like very spiritual. I don't know if that's like a normal thing, but a lot of my friends went down the very leftist political to spiritual crystal girl pipeline. Like, I literally made friends from starting like a pan-African TikTok account, and now we literally talk about how the moon affects like our life. I do want to read it, but I'm not putting any pressure to read it anytime soon. I started reading it in February. It was very interesting, but then I think I stopped like 10 pages in. In the next 2 or 3 years, I would like to have read it. The Beauty Myth, I got this because Best Dressed mentioned it in her YouTube video, and I also have a crush on her and an obsession with her in the same way that I did for Lily Singh. I very much enjoyed the beginning parts of what I read, and I wanted to stop getting my feminist information from like TikTok and Instagram. I started reading it. It was very informative. Everything that I've read, it was a bit annoying to read because she runs on sentences. Yo, everything she says, I'm like, yes bitch, say it again. But then I did stop reading it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I do want to read it again before the end of next year, but I want to read for pleasure first, because like I hadn't read ever, and then I was like, let me read The Beauty Myth. Like, I need to ease myself in. I want to enjoy reading books like Red, White and Royal Blue before I read The Beauty Myth. My other book that I'm currently reading is Autobiography of a Yogi. As you know, I mentioned earlier, I am in my religious spiritual phase. I started reading this book 2 months ago and I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone and anyone. This is another book that my dad got me for my, I want to say either 18th? Yeah, for my 18th birthday. I didn't read it then, obviously. Now I'm 24. Jesus, fuck, I'm old. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it now. I'm also glad that I waited. So I am currently reading that slowly every day, and then for fun I'm also reading Red, White and Blue. It says everything that I want to hear. I'm learning everything that I want to learn. It's just like the perfect book. Some other books that I've read that weren't physical books that I downloaded illegally. I read Mindy Kaling's I think she had 2 autobiographies. I read them both. I don't know why, but like I really just wanted to know about her life. And then I also read a lot of YouTubers' books. I read Shane Dawson's one. This was like years ago. This was years ago, before he started his conspiracy theory, before he like fucked his cat. I read Gabby Hanna's poem book. It was not a good time for me, guys. It was, yeah, it's not my proudest moment. And now for a review of It Ends With Us. If you love the book, if you thoroughly enjoyed this book, you're not gonna love this review. And I totally understand if you want to click off. Like, if you want to leave and you don't want to hear me like shit on your favorite book, totally valid, totally fine, because that is what I'm going to do. I will be shitting all over this book. When I first started reading it, I was immediately like taken out. A part of the book where she said he kicked the chair repeatedly over and over. I was like, that's what repeatedly means. Why are you doing that? If you gave me that book to edit, there would be red marks all over it. After I finished reading it, I was like, maybe I'm not the target audience. Like maybe it's for younger people, maybe like people in their teens and like girls in their teens, because like my taste as a teenager versus my taste now is different, and there is nothing wrong with my taste as a teenager. And I was like, okay, maybe that's why it's kind of like cringy. And I was like, oh no, but like such heavy themes like abuse and rape wouldn't kind of be so prevalent. Then I was like, oh okay, I guess the book is just terrible. Like sometimes I forget that it's a thing that she made up in her head, Colleen, because like some stuff is like, you could have just not done that. Like you could have, it's not reality, so why did you do this? In the beginning of the book, I don't know if she did this on purpose, but I hated Ryle from the beginning. When he said, I want to fuck you, I closed the book. I closed the book, I set it down, and I walked away. I was like, he's supposed to be the main character. Then I kind of felt like relief when she started reading Atlas's letters. So it's like, okay, it's clear that Atlas is going to come back later in the book. I was really glad that like Atlas was coming, because I was like, what the fuck is Ryle? What the fuck is this? And I was having such a difficult time reading it because I was like, why, like, am I delusional? Like, why are we supposed to like this guy? I did not like Ryle anytime during when he was supposed to be likable. When they would have sex, he would be very aggressive. When they first hooked up, the way he like held up her hands and just like picked her up, nothing about it like excited me. And like, you know, I love cheesiness, I love the cringy stuff, but that did nothing for me. And I don't know if she did that on purpose, if Colleen was like, here are some sides that he's a terrible person in like earlier in the book, or if that's separate. Another thing that annoyed me about the book, or the characters I guess, was the fact that there was a point where they wanted us to forgive him for being abusive because he killed his brother. Or when his sister was like, what the fuck? Where she was like, tell her about your brother situation so that she could understand why he hit you. There's no excuse, there's no reason. I'm glad that the bestie at the end of the book was like, I will not stay friends with you, we don't leave him. I was like, oh thank God. Oh. When we were learning about Atlas, like I said, she wrote the book, like she created the characters and their ages. Why did she make him 18 and her 15? Like why, what was the point of that? Why did she do that, genuinely? Because if there's a part where he has to wait to have sex with her because she's not old enough, that's not, And the one part that kind of also got for me is that like, I too hath been suicidal. So when he was explaining like, oh, I was going to go kill myself in the house, but then I saw you and I decided not to, I did not understand how he, as an 18-year-old man going to a house, seeing a 15-year-old girl just mind her business in her room, made him not want to kill himself. Like, the thing is, this was before she even like acknowledged him or gave him blankets. Like, I understand if he's like contemplating it, but then she showed him some love by like, here's some blankets, here's some warmth, and he's like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna do it. But she wasn't like acknowledging him. She did not know she was being watched by him. She was just minding her business in her room, and this man is like, I'm not gonna kill myself because you exist. Like, they're just like, what the fuck? If you read this as a love story, girl, no. I really like the fact that she said like the fact that it's called It Ends With Us, our mothers, and me getting abused, it ends. Like, I love that. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed the fact that the casserole was a real life situation, and if the purpose of the book was to explain to us that it is easier said than done to get out of abusive relationships, I think it did a really good job. Because I think a lot of us were like, why don't they just leave? Like, just go, he hit you, like why would you let that stay? But they do convince you, they do brainwash you, and you want to believe that this person is good because like, oh, they loved you in the beginning, they showed you so much love, this is just like an extra part of them and not like them. I am glad that I read it. I don't regret reading it. I would not recommend it to anyone else, and I would not read any more of her work. I'm not going to read Verity. If you're going to cry reading this, I sort of cried because I am a Pisces, so I could cry right now if I wanted to. But I cried more reading like Born a Crime than I did It Ends With Us. It didn't really destroy me in the way that I thought it was going to. Maybe because like I didn't like any of the characters or the story. It was not giving what everyone said it was going to give.